Good evening, dear students. This is second session of our certificate course in Computer System Validation (CSV). Uh, we will wait for another 1 or 2 minutes. Let 15 students are sitting now. Santosh, good evening. Durga Prasad Naidu, hi. Yashwant, good evening. Surya Teja, hi. Ramakrishna, hello. Pritesh Mishri, hello. Ratna Pratap, good evening. Teja Kumari, good evening. क्लास स्टार्ट होगा। क्लास स्टार्ट होने के बाद लास्ट जो 30 मिनट्स आपकी डाउट सेशन होगा। Anybody wants to ask in Hindi, they can ask in Hindi. Sir will reply in your native language, Hindi also. So use that facility. You can understand more about computer system validation. Sai, good evening. We will start the session. Handovering to Mr. Raviraj Patel, sir. Hi, sir. Good evening.
Okay, good evening. Good evening, everyone. This is Raviraj Trambadia, and we learned all the validation documents and deliverables in past session. And this is the B model, which is used during our validation. So this session covered the scenario of GAMP 4 and what is the difference between GAMP 4 and currently using GAMP 5. And also including the V model, which is used during your validation and document preparation. So very warm good evening to everyone. So can we start? Yes, just a second. Okay, is it visible to all?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay. So the today's session it's about V model as per GAMP 5. So GAMP 5 is guideline given by ISPE, International Society for Pharmaceutical Engineering. The history of validation. Let's start the basic and brief history about how GAMP is utilized and it's appear in industry of pharma, CROs, and computer system. So across every industry, we are using digitalization means we are moving from labor work to automated work to reduce the manpower and improve the product and its quality and the efficiency. So we are using the automated software and computerized system. So the traditional approach is absolute by using the automated system. The concept of validation was first proposed by two FDA officers. One is Ted Byers and second one is Bud Lobtus. In mid 1970, means in 1970, the validation approach is given by these two officers of FDA. But why? To improve the quality of pharmaceuticals. One of the most famous case of it's called the Devonport incident, which is occurred during 1971. The case is that a batch of 5% dextrose IV bottles, which is the product, that were not correctly sterilized during sterilization of the process in production department. This bottle is not sterilized and it is given to some patients uh, for the recovery of the disease. Then five patients at that time are dead means they are killed due to these 5% dextrose IV bottles. So it's happened in Devonport, England hospital. So it's called Devonport incident. After receiving the information about how it is died and investigation, they come to know that it is due to unsterilized bottle which is given to that patient. So afterwards, many this type of incidents happened with pharma industries and with many products are there. So afterwards, James Agalco, who just achieved a great milestone, 4 decades of being involved with ISPE. ISPE is the International Society for Pharmaceutical Engineering. It's a branch, or say one type of combined regulatory, which make this guideline. Means GAMP 5 is developed by ISPE. So the James Agalco and he started that the origin of validation means that validation is required during product life cycle or development of any product. So in our industry or pharma industry, we can trace to means validation is come with sterilization or say terminal sterilization process. Failure in 1997, 1970. Afterwards, many failures are there for production, for clinical trial, and laboratory instrument or say in R&D centers. So validation is required to confirm the software or say system is working as per our defined standard or as per regulatory agency to save the lives of the patients and to improve the product quality. So the first validation activity that focus on process involved in making this product but quickly spread to everywhere. Means every country or say regulatory industries are focusing on the validation approach. Means if your system is not validated, how you can say that your product is well defined and fine and it is ready to use for a patient, and there is no any impact or no any adverse event found during means in use. So afterward, many regulatory agency is interested to validate the system. If it's not validated, then how the product is released to the market. So moving to the next slide, ISPE, which already I said that International Society for Pharmaceutical Engineering. It was founded in 1980 by handful people, means a team of pharmaceutical industry. The organization built by these pharmaceutical industry peoples, which deal with science technology which is used during manufacturing of pharma industry. Then ISP become with many regulatory agencies. It defined membership of engineers in its spread with starting of North America in time. Then ISP membership expanded beyond engineering to include a broad representation from pharmaceutical professional. So many engineers are also involved in this ISP because we are going to digitalize or we say that automated system are used. Then the game 5 was initiated in 1991. So at that time ISP and game are totally different. So GAMP is identified by David Selby, Cliff Taylor, and Tony Margets, with core of experts in United Kingdom, means UK, that realized that the pharmaceutical industry need to consider and meet involving FDA and other regulatory agency. So during the scenario of 1980 and 1990, the GAMP and ISPE is focusing on validation and well-established system for the pharma industry. So afterwards, GAMP and the ISP are combined because they are the same and on that same platform, and they are moving forward to validate the system. So GAMP and ISP is combined and become GAMP is become a part of ISP in 2000. So afterwards, GAMP defined the guideline. Means ISP uh, produced the guideline which called GAMP, Good Automated Manufacturing Practices. So the principle of GAMP is that quality cannot be tested into a batch of product, but must be built into each stage of pharmaceutical. pharma manufacturing process. Means after product is released into batch and it's released to the market, you can't say that the product is good, but the game says that if you precaution is better than cure, just like that. Means if you validate the system, then if you are, and then you are sure that your product is good, because you are confident for your validation and your documents which is defined before the batch. So the game defined that your system is system surety and trustworthy to manufacture the product. So afterwards, many guidelines are published. Means version is there. Just a minute. I think slide is not changed. Huh? So now it is visible. Can anyone can say that? Hello.
Yes, it is visible. First slide is visible. Can you change second slide?
Okay, I'm just changing. It's done.
Yes, yes, it's changing.
Okay. So the versioning or say guideline is published one by one. So first guideline of Game 5, which is given by ISPE, was published in 1st March 1994. Before publish the first guideline, the draft version is published, and the opinion of all peoples are in pharmaceuticals, people which are involving in different pharma industries are given. Then the final game one is published on 1st March 1994, and afterwards uh, do later the acceptation and continue to involve the pharmaceutical industry and the involving guideline and many experts. One by one, game 2 was published in 1996, game 3 in 1998, game 4, which is broadened the scope to all GXP system in 2001. Means afterward 1998 game 4 requires around 3 years to publish game 5, and by the time currently we are using game 5. The title of game 5 is a risk based approach to compliant GXP computerized system, which was released in February 2008. And recently, before 2 months ago, it means July 2022, the second edition of Game 5 was published, which is also available at ISP website. So after Game 4, means 2001 to 2008, means between 2000 between Game 4 and Game 5, many guidelines, means it's called that good practice guide. Means very many regulatory agencies, or we can say different countries are involving in validation. So based on that, game 5 final guideline was prepared in February 2008. It shows the how quality risk management could be fully integrated into the computer system lifecycle. So game 5 represent the whole system lifecycle and how to define risk during your validation and how to validate the system. So since it released, many of GPGs have been revised to align with Game 5, and several new GPGs have been created to address industry needs. Means if means GAMP5 release, so many regulatory agencies are comply and withstand with GAMP5 to harmonize the system and harmonize this thinking for validation. So today we are using GAMP5, which was published in February 2008, and the revised version in means second edition at the end of July 2022. Means recently, before 2 months ago. So I think the history is one type of some boring subject for us. So I evaluate it and verify some simple scenario which is present in this slide. Means ISPE is born on 1980, and also Game 5 born on 1991. Then first guideline of Game 5 was published by only Game 5 people's means game fighting in 1994. Then ISPE and Game 5 are merged in 2000. So Game 1, Game 2 in 1996, Game 3 in 1998. So three guideline Game 1, 2 and 3 are published by Game team. Then ISPE involved with Game. Then all authority of publishing Game are under ISPE. Then afterwards Game 4 published in 2001. Then Game 5 published in February 2008. The slide represents the whole scenario of how ISPE established and Game 5 merged with it, and different guidelines when Game 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are published in different years. So moving to the next, the evolution of Game guideline. As already seen in previous slide that in 1994 first guideline was published, but before publishing of first guideline Game 1, one draft document is prepared to harmonize and take some reviews from different industries and pharma peoples. Then afterwards 1996 Game 2 guideline is published. Then afterwards Game 3 in 1998. Then Game 4 in February in 2001. Then many guidelines means regulatory agencies or say uh, some guideline established and stand along with GAMP guideline. So many articles are published for validation, which is combined in the GAMP 5, which was published in February 2008, and the GAMP 5 guideline, which is second edition, which published in July 2022. So currently we are using this second edition of GAMP 5. So up to this, the history of GAMP 5, how it's picture in validation or in pharma industry. So GAMP 5 is one type of guideline. It's not regulatory agency or it's not a regulation. We can say that it's provide how to validate the system. It's not a rules that you must have to apply. You must have to in your system. So it's a supporting document for validation. We can say that on that basis how we know that and how we decide and how we plan the validation. So it's a supporting document, or so it's why I said GAMP is a guide. And the 21 CFR, we can say that it's a regulation, so you must have to follow that rules. So generally, people are confusing that it's a rule. So it is written that in Game 5, so we must have to follow that. But Game 5 already liberal for that. If you define the risk based on your process, based on your thoughts, and business based on your business perspective, then you can evaluate with your own system to comply the validation. So Game 5 is a guide, not it's not a rules or any regulation that you must have to follow. So the whole scenario of benefits of validation, as we know that many regulatory requirements are there, many audits are asked for the if this system is validated and where is the document is there, if how the what is the process to prepare these documents, what is the scenario of validation, and how you handle the functionality or any incident or any process by confirming the functionality is working properly. So this is the benefit of validation which required which show that how why validation is required to optimize the process, make audit easily comfortable. Means if you have document means you have documents of validation, then you can say that how or these functionalities are verified by us. Deep study and understanding of the system means you know there are all functionalities by the validation. Reduce production cost means by improving the efficiency and automated system. You can do automated process for production purpose. Improve production output by automated system. Makes the system more reliable and easy to use, so anyone can handle and anyone can understand the functionality and operate it. Improve user experience, preventing bugs. During validation, we face many deviations are there, many bugs are there in system. So during validation, it come to know that these bugs are there, so we can eliminate during validation. So it will not occur during production cycle. So it save also time and efficiency of product. Ensure that the system has met all the requirements which is defined in our user requirement specification. To improve securities by login logout features, by harmonize with a system server or security are there. So minimize rework and rejection. So you can see any rejection during validation. So you can minimize by developing some other features, or that you ensure that its not requirement is not fulfilled by this rejection. So you can develop or confirm the operation or process of the system by validation. Minimize risk of regulatory non-compliance means during validation you consider or check the regulatory requirement is fulfilled or not in our system. The reduce of reprocess work, because if you validate one system at one time, then in future you doesn't require to check the functional is working properly or not, because we have the evidence of it during validation. Decrease the chance of failure in during production. Ensure high degree of assurance means it's comply the regulatory requirements and support the quality assurance department. To determine the worst case and risk that may arise during manufacturing, it's by defining the pre-risk assessment. If you define which type of scenario or which type of risk will occur during production life cycle, so you can eliminate the risk and the worst case scenario by the validating the software or say its function. Improving performance by automation and as per our requirement means we can say that we want this means one type of production batch in this minute. So improve the performance by validation. So this is the benefits of validation in pharma industries. So it's all scenario is saying that by automated, or we can say that digitalization of the system, the labor work is reduced, the surety and confidence on system is improved, and by the validation we can represent our documents and surety to our auditor by the documents, and improve it's also improve the chance of failure scenario which occur during production. So by validation we ensure that this type of risk is happen in future, so how we can handle during the validation. So what is the difference between GAMP 4 and GAMP 5 guideline? So GAMP 4 which was published on 2001 and GAMP 5 which was published in 2008. So in GAMP 4 have a 5 category of software. The screen represents the category of software which is defined in GAMP 4 and GAMP 5. The category 1 is operating system. Now in GAMP 5 the category 1 is infrastructure software. In GAMP 4 category 2 is firmware. In category 2 in GAMP 5 it is not used, means it is discontinued, is means no longer used in GAMP 5. So you can say that in GAMP 5 only four category means GAMP 1, GAMP 3, GAMP 4 and GAMP 5. So category 2 is not in GAMP 5. Then GAMP 4 category 3 is standard software. Now it's called in GAMP 5 that category 3 is non-configured software, non-configured products. In GAMP 4 category 4 is it was called configurable software. Now in GAMP 5 category 4 called as configured products. In GAMP 5 configurable is called configured. The software is called as a products. So in GAMP 4 category 5 it was custom software. Now in GAMP 5 it's category 5 is called as custom application. So in GAMP 4 the 5 categories of software which was defined, but during GAMP 5 which was published in 2008 and the revised guideline published in July 2022, the second category means the firmware is discontinued, so no longer used during current scenario, because it is one type of software which is produced only for that firm, and now it's considered in category 1, 3, 4, 1, 4 and 5. So this software is eliminated in the recent guideline GAMP 5. So we see one by one. The category 1 it means operating system, so where only operating system are included in GAMP 4. So in GAMP 5 expanded gradually means operating system and also cover the established or commercially available layered software, or so we can say that infrastructure software tools. So I give some examples of GAMP 5 category 1. It is programming languages like Java and operating system like Windows XP, Windows 10, then firewall, antivirus. These are in category of GAMP 5 category 1. So these are the trustable software, or we can say that operating system which we recently using, or we can say in it's used in daily routine life. The moving to next slide is category 2 of GAMP 4, and GAMP 5 is there is no category of GAMP category 2. Means in category 2 configurable and non-configurable firmware. Firmware means which software are designed and developed for particular firm or say particular company. So custom firmware is in category 5. So in GAMP 5 this category is eliminated, means discontinued, no longer used. Nowadays firmware is now treated as a software in one of this category. It means 3, 4 or 5. So this category is eliminated from GAMP 5, which is recent guideline. Then category 3 is called standard software in GAMP 4 and non-configured products in GAMP 5. So these softwares are ready to use, means commercial of the self products. So in category 3 in GAMP 4 commercially available standard software are used. Configuration is limited to establish the runtime real-time scenario. So in category 3, non-configured products of game 5, the commercial of the shelf products used for business process. It is limited configurable. Means it has different features, but it is limited. So you have to option like that. You can choose any one of them. Means any one of features from that. So it's a limited configurable software, which we can say that it's ready to use. So many laboratory instruments, or we can say that LCMS, HPLCs, UPLCs, and the software which are used during laboratory, which are come into this category. And also software for data acquisition without configuration capacity, control panel viewers are come into this category. Then second one, fourth category is configured product for game 4, and con- category 4 configured software for game 4, and category 4 configured products for game 5. So the configurable software have some type of configuration which meet our requirement, means our in our URS. So minor configuration are there, which will develop by the developer is our requirement to fulfill our requirement. So configurable software packages provide standard interfaces and function that enable configuration of user specific business or manufacturing processes. So configured products means which provide standard interfaces and functions that enable configuration of the application to meet user specific needs, and configuring using vendor supplied language should be handled as custom components. So many softwares in pharma industries, like I can say that BMS, EMS, LMS, learning management system, BMS, building management system, EMS, environment management system, or SAP, they are come into this picture in configured products, because they have functionality, or we can say that they develop the functionality on the basis of our requirement. So uh, much and more configuration are required to fulfill our requirement. So this type of software are come into this category 4, is configured products. Then category last category is category 5. So it's called custom software in in game 4, and custom application in game 5. So this system are developed to meet the specific needs of the user, this company. I want to also add that in category 4, means in previous slide, configured product, the PLC related system, SCADA, HMI, human machine interface, DCS also are part of these configured products. And category 5, the custom built application, which is built for particular company, or we can say that it's developed by IT, or internal IT. So these software are coming into this category, means custom application. So it is internally and externally developed IT application, or we can say that internally or externally developed process control application, which come into this category 5, custom applications. So the software category as per game 5 is category 1. Category 2 is absolute, means no longer used in game 5. So afterwards category 1, the category 3, then category 4, and category 5. Category 1 is infrastructure software, means example of infrastructure is operating system. Category 3, non-configured products, means products which are ready to use, means laboratory instruments. Then category 4, it's a configured products. means they configured, or we can say that they customize some features based on our requirement. So example of configured products are PLC, SCADA, HMI, BMS, EMS, SAP. Then category 5 custom application, which are built as per our needs. It's customized based to different firm. So it's developed by internal IT team or external IT team. And we moving to the next hardware category. So in GAMP 5, software category is there. GAMP category 1, 3, 4, and 5, and two category of hardware, means category 1 and category 2. One is standard hardware components, the second is custom build hardware components. So we moving to the next and learn the hardware standard and custom build hardware components. The first one is standard hardware components. So majority of the products, means hardware which are used in manufacturing or in pharma industry are coming to this category, means standard hardware components, because we using the standard product, standard equipments, or standard sensor, or say standard manufacturer is there. So many equipments are, or say many systems are in this category, means standard hardware components. In this category, it includes manufacturer identification and the serial number, with memo, and some versioning system is there. Defined manufacturing process is there, which is used by the supplier or say dealer. And correct installation and connection of components, it is easily possible for standard hardware component. So configuration management and change control is also used by to produce this standard hardware component. Means we can say that this is a brand. If we use Allen Bradley PLC, Siemens PLC, standard software, means SCADA, DCS system, standard BMS system is there. So in future, if we want some maintenance or some calibration is there, or we can say some functionality which we want to add in routine operation or in the current system. So if it is standard, so it is easily available in future to reach our requirement to configure the system. If it is not standard, then it's we have to face some issues to configure, or we can say that we have to use as it is in future. So custom built hardware components are specially designed based on design specification. So it is not standard, we can just say that. So subjected to acceptance testing. So these hardware are built based on our limited requirements, and there is no standard in market, or there is no any branding is there. So custom built hardware components are assembled system which used custom hardware from different sources, required verification, confirming the compatibility of interconnected hardware components. In custom built hardware components, any hardware configuration should be defined in the design documentation and verified. Configuration management and change control apply. Means in custom built hardware components, there is no standard is used. There is no any defined procedure, or there is no any user manual, or we can say that data sheet is available. So in future we want some maintenance, or we want some configuration is there. So it's a lack of configuration, or lack of any service provider in market. So it is not possible in future by using this custom built hardware components. So every industry is coming to use for standard hardware components. And coming to the next, these different type of models for software development is used in market. First one is waterfall model. These are the examples of software development. Means how software is designed and developed. Means what is the project scenario is there to verify which stage is there, we reach in which stage, and how it is built based on the project design. So the first one is waterfall model. In waterfall model, the flow is from requirement to maintenance, means from 1 to 3 step, from up to down. Then spiral model, it's showing some circle model is there, means uh, the project is going in one circle. Then prototyping model, it's look like that, many scenario is like that, or we can say that it's look like a ladder logic. Means if this step is happen, then what is the second step? If this step is not happen, then what will be the second step? And the last one is V model. So it represent the one phase is verification phase, and one is validation phase. Means it represent one is design phase, and one another side represent the validation phase. So in CSV, means computer system validation, we are using the software development model of V model. Means during computer system validation, V model is the best representation of validation, and we can say that validation deliverables. So, what is V model as per GAMP 5? So, V model is defined in GAMP 5 that it's a graphical representation of a system development life cycle. So, by V model, we define that how the system is built and what is the system development life cycle from its user requirements change control to its system release, means up to VSR. So V model summarize the main step to be taken in conjunction with the corresponding deliverables with computerized system validation framework or project lifecycle development. So V model have left side and right side. So left side represent that what is the design phase. Means product development phase is on left side. It's a requirement or creation of the system or say product, and the right side represent the integration and the validation part. Means in V model, one part means left side represent what will be performed during validation. It's a planning, it's a designing, and it's a requirement. And the right side represent what is verified, what is validated as per planned or unplanned. It's delivered the validation. It's a surety of our requirement, our design, and our functionality. So V model is used during validation. It means one left side is from our change control URS validation plan. Then the design phase is developed by vendors. Means the software or say system is developed by the supplier. Then on that basis, we verify that the left side is meet with our right side. Means the requirement, the design, the functionality which will meet in our validation phase. So this V model represent how the system is established and how it is verified. So as per game 5, and we are considering different category of the software. So V model is different for different categories. For category 3 means non-configured product. The V model is like that. It's a simply V model. means our requirement is there based on system have the built-in features which are ready to use, we can say. So based on our requirement, we select any one of the functionality in the system, and we check that our requirement is meeting or not. So it's a simple V model which is used in non-configured product, means in category 3 uh, of software category as per GAMP5. So as per GAMP5, software category 4 means configured product. So V model is like that, it's our requirement, then functional design specification, then configuration specification, and it is used for configured product. So based on functional specification or configuration specification, system is built. Then after system build, we verify what is configuration specification. So configuration testing is there for configuration specification. Then all functionality testing, which is developed in functional specification by the functional testing. Then last one is requirement testing. So this category 4 means configured product represent the FDS, means design documents we already discussed in previous session. Means the FDS, functional design specification, DS, CS, configuration specification, which provided by supplier or vendor, or say vendor. So left side of V represent our requirement, or based on our requirement, some configuration, some functionalities developed by the vendor. So design document is required on, or we can say that FDS, DS, or CS as per their document practice. On that basis, system is built and prepared for us to fulfill our requirement. So right side verify that our requirements is meet and our functionality is meet or not. So V model represent that and ensure that our requirement and the functionality which was developed by the vendor is meeting or not, or if have any deviation is there, or we can say that it's need to improve, or any surety is there, it defined by vendor, is tested in verification phase. In game category 5, as per game 5, it's a custom application, which we already discussed that it's an IT application developed by internal IT or external IT. So in category 5 is custom application. URS is there, which is given by system owner. Then functional specification, design specification, and module. Let's see unit specification. So in category 5, module specification, which describe that this functionality is not there, but it only and only prepared for to meet our requirements. So this application is designed to meet our expectation and only for this particular company. So design document of that module, or we can say that functionality, is must required during custom application preparation. So on that basis system is built. Means the left side of V model represent the requirement of a system owner, then the functionality which is already there based on design specification is prepared, and it must have to prepare the module, means unit specification, which functionality is developed only particular for that company or to meet our requirements. Then the right side is all testing part of that module, which was only one and only prepared only for that company. Then integration testing, means design specification testing. Then functional testing, which is verify the functionality which is defined on functional specification. Then requirement testing means VSR, which verify that all our requirements are met or not. So this is the V model represent the scenario of development phase, means the product development, and the verification phase, means validation phase, which is used during all CSV process. Thank you all of you.
Whereas are completed.
Yes, it's completed.
Okay. Can we start the session?
Yes.
They can ask their doubts.
Hello. Please share me difference between GAMP 4 and GAMP 5. It will also covered in material which you will get the difference of GAMP 4 and GAMP 5 with some examples are there which clear your doubts for difference between GAMP 4 and GAMP 5. What is mean by infrastructure software example? Uh, I want to say that it's a trustable application or say operating system. We can say example of operating system like which are using uh, Windows XP or say Java or say Red Hat. These are the example of infrastructure software. Anything else? Anyone can ask in English or Hindi. V model is for only software validation only. No, V model is for software development. Means many models which I already represent is using for different software preparation or software development. But in validation, Game 5 follow only V model. Means your verification means your development to your verification. So V model is given by Game 5. So we have to follow V model for validation activity. Much appreciate. Good session. Thank you. And sometimes we confusing that we can say that SAP is in which category, BMS is in which category. So it is not defined in the Game 5. So based on the documentation and process which is given by vendor, we can define risk. On based on that risk we can categorize the system. Means vendor is well established, well qualified, how the product is developed, or we summarize the category in demo that any configuration or any new requirements which will be developed by the developer or not, which category we are using in game 5 at present. So game 5 have total 5 category which are used for software. The second category of software is absolute. So game 1, game 3, game 4 and 5. And for hardware category 1 and category 2 is there. Anything else? Sir, can you give some example of Game 4 and Game 5 software application? Uh, so Game 4 and Game 5, the categorization is same, but category 2 is absolute in Game 5. By that, the thing and the examples for category 1 is same in category 4 and category 5. Means categorization of software is same in both Game 4 and Game 5. So no any different example for Game 4 and Game 5. So category 1 defined in Game 4, it which we using that example is also example of Game 5, category 1. Someone say agile methodology, but I am not sure that which is used during validation. Or some automated testing are currently we are using, like Selenium automation. So different tool yeah, are used during automated testing. So also GameFi considered that validation is acceptable by defining that the automated testing is properly well defined or not. If it is defined and it is well tested, so we can accept that automated testing. Someone said that we are in game second edition with a huge variation concept to game 4. We want I want to clear that in second edition of game 5 there are minor changes, means appendix or attachment are updated. There is no major changes are there. Some clarity which game want to define, which is clear in this second edition. Okay, anything else?
Uh, if anything is there after the session also, you can ask your doubts before the below the our video. Sir will answer all your questions.
Someone said Empower server software comes under which category? So how can I realize that Empower software in which category? By doesn't verifying any documents or any validated process of that vendor. So based on your thought, it's depends upon your thought and which type of product means equipment is given by the vendor and what the backend document is ready for use. So based on that, you can define the category. It is not fixed that this software is under the category 3 or we can say category 4. But based on the backend document which is already prepared by the vendor, or we can say that any configuration which we want based on our URS, they are ready to customize or we can say configure the product. So by defining your URS, how the software is built, so it's maybe category 3 or 4. If I ready to use which is functionality is there, then it is in category 3. But if some pointers there in our URS that I must want this functionality in the software, then it's come to in category 4. So it's not defined that this software or equipment manufacturer make category 3 type of software or category 4 type of software. Someone asking for the material, you can get the material after this whole session is over, or you can contact Srikanth sir. What is integration testing? Means integration between two system. If one output of system is used as a input of another system, then integration testing is required. That flow is moving forward after one system is completing the flow. So integration testing is required when two systems are integrated and the functionality of one system is used by the another one. Enterprise application examples. Uh, it's not defined, means we can say that it's built up by your IT team or your by firm. Just I want to say that Moodle LMS, Moodle Learning Management System, it's an open platform to build LMS by using the functionality. So internal IT team can make the LMS by using the Moodle features. So you can uh, provide name as per your requirement or as per your decision. So it's not fixed that this matlab, uh, Moodle LMS provide the functionality to build by yourself. So this is one type of example of enterprise application. Why bugs are created in live system after validation? So if you don't verify the load testing, or we can say that any functionality is not working, or you skip the functionality to verify during validation, so it's create a bug during routine operation. So you can handle by your change control procedure or incident management. Caliber DMS QMS and called as enterprise application. What is integration testing? As I already explained. So anything else?
Anything else? The students are watching. If anything else, we will wait 1 or 2 minutes. We will answer all the questions.
I want to clear that some many students are confusing that this system is in which category. So it's depend upon vendor documentation, vendor change control procedures, how they're built and designed, and which type of configuration which you want to use based on the URS. Its a requirement is fulfilled as it is system build or not. So based on that, you can define the category. It is not fixed that this vendor provide category 3 software and another vendor provide category 4 software. Is both game 4 and 5 was ineffective? No, means currently game 5 is already in use. So latest guideline is game 5. So can we over here?
Okay, thank you very much. 33 students are now. If you have any doubts, you can drop a message in the comment box, or you can message me, or you can message in our group. Uh, Sorry, you can message personally. I will forward to sir. I will forward up responses after. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you, Santosh.
all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Srikanth sir.
Thank you. Good night. Ravikiran Reddy, can you please type your message below our video? Okay. I will answer all. Okay. Thank you. Bye bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye everyone.